please join me in renewing our allegiance to the flag? And as we do so, can we keep in mind the sacrifice of our 13 heroes who died in defense of this flag? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The purpose of tonight's program is for our members to vote on which candidates we will endorse this year. We value our candidates' and members' opinions. Here are a few of the ground rules. Each speaker will have up to 5 minutes to talk about your campaign and what you feel is important. After the 5 minutes is up, you will have 3 minutes of Q&A. We have Jared Cram, Deputy Mayor of Binghamton, seeking election for Binghamton Mayor. We have Veronica Gorman, running for Broome County Family Court. Brett Noonan, running for Broome County Family Court. Joe Mohalko, Broome County Clerk and running for seeking re-election. Thank you. I know Ted Warner had messaged me that he wanted to be here tonight. He was at our last Meet the Candidates when we were in person. Unfortunately, he had another obligation, but he wanted to at least let everybody know that's why he is not here. On behalf of our members, I would like to thank all the candidates for joining us tonight. And we will start with Veronica.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming out. I think that an appropriate place to start with respect to why I'm running for family court is going back all the way to my childhood. My father was a career military man. He retired as a lieutenant colonel, having received a Purple Heart in Vietnam, graduating from West Point, and just instilling in my brother and I a lifelong dedication to public service. So my public service started in 2001. In December, after September 11th, I became a volunteer firefighter and an EMT in order to give back to my community. I went to law school because a fortune cookie said I'd make a good lawyer. I wish I was kidding, but that fortune cookie's framed under my law degree. And I spent 4 years as a district attorney in Cortland County, prosecuting mainly crimes against children and sexual assaults. And then I had the opportunity to come down and work for Jerry Mullen in August of 2011, and I worked with him until January 2016, and I continued. It was almost a lateral transfer from Cortland County DA's office to Broome County DA's office, but I continued prosecuting crimes against children and sexual assaults mainly. The only thing that was unfortunately added was child homicides. At my time during my time at the DA's office, I was on the child advocacy's multidisciplinary team. So we met once a week and we talked about all of the pending cases of child abuse, both sexual and physical, in the county, and we worked through a team approach on how we could make it better. In 2016, I took the bench in the town of Union, and I served as town of Union judge for 5 years. I also opened up my own law practice. I became certified as an attorney for the child, and I began representing both children and adults in family court. And why I'm running for family court is because family court judge for me is the perfect marriage of my career in the DA's office representing children and the joy I found in being on the bench in the town of Union. And so this is just bringing those two things together and allowing me to continue my advocacy for children, which has been a lifelong passion for me. A little bit about myself: I have 4 children. The oldest one's a junior and the youngest one is 7. And we're a blended family. And what that means is that both my husband and I are both divorced, and we have navigated through custody, visitation issues, and we both have very good relationships with our exes. But I think that gives me a little bit of insight. When clients come into my office and say, look, I'm never going to get along with them, or I'm never going to see eye to eye with her, I can use at least my perspective and say, well, it may feel that way now. You'd be surprised at what a couple years and some distance does. And some of my clients come back and say that I was exactly right, and some don't. But again, it's a little bit of insight. And we live here in Endwell, and we have since 2013. And again, one of the things I want to do in family court is that I'm very passionate about setting up some sort of juvenile drug treatment court program or diversion program. Because right now, for kids that have juvenile delinquencies pending, or PINs, which are persons in need of supervision, it's sort of the precursor to a JD. Sometimes it feels like we don't get those kids enough services. And if we were able to get a drug court type setting, we could provide all of those services for these children who are very vulnerable. I would say arguably just as vulnerable as the kids that I represented when I was, prosecuting child abuse. We could potentially make a difference for those children earlier in their lives instead of waiting until they got to the criminal justice system as adults. And if we could take that small window and take that opportunity, again, using the community approach and the bringing all the shareholders to the table, I think that we would be really successful. So that's all I have to say, but I'll take questions.
And next we have Brett Noonan.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you all for being here. Kind of following what Ronnie said, my family court career started when I was a child as well, but in kind of a little different way. I was a misbehaved child, so I had to do a bout or two in front of the judge, but we've got all that worked out. I think I've come a long way since then. But that's where I started, and actually that has been a driving factor for a lot of things I've done throughout my career. I grew up in Herkimer County. My parents were both school teachers, and when I graduated high school, I went to Lemoyne College. Once I was done with Lemoyne, I was a little frustrated by the way the court system treated me when I was a child for a couple different reasons, but and that's what kind of drove me to go to law school. I went straight from college, moved to Albany, and went to Albany Law. I got my law degree down there, and while I was there, I was working for Senator Libis at the time. When I graduated law school, I came down and worked in the district office with Senator Libis for a year as the deputy counsel. Yes, Jessica, she would say I was doing a lot of fishing, but I think I was actually doing a lot of legal work. From there, I actually went over to Broome County, Stop DWI for a year, and served in that capacity. And then at the end of that year, I went into private practice. When I first went into private practice, I did a lot of different things. Small town, you have to do what you can do. I had really no experience other than in the senator's office, and Stop DWI. I really had no legal experience or legal guidance at that point. So I did whatever I could. I did a whole bunch of real estate, did some criminal, a lot of family court. I got certified as an attorney for child, which I continue to do today. But over a couple of years, my practice mainly turned to matrimonial and family court. So for the last probably 6 or 7 years, I would say 95% of my time has been spent in family court. Until the pandemic, I would say I was in family court at least 4 days a week, if not 5. And there's been days where I've been 6, 7, 8 court appearances in family court on a given day. So I've definitely spent a lot of time there. I didn't intend to run for a family court judge. This early in my life, I did at some point. My driving factor was last year, Broome County put a family court judge on the bench that had not stepped foot in family court since 1997. That's not fair to the families in Broome County, the children in Broome County, the people practicing in Broome County. I've dealt with her for a year now, nice enough lady, capable as a judge, but that doesn't make any sense to me why somebody that hasn't been in practice in the family court in 23 years would be put in there as the judge. One of my goals for family court, and a lot of it's driven by the Office of Court Administration, but I think there are ways a judge can have a hold of it, is with virtual hearings and the court system being inundated and working with the judge down the last couple of years. family court cases just take way too long. Families can't wait for that. And while our hands are kind of tied with scheduling and having a lot of virtual appearances has kind of, I wouldn't say made people not afraid of the courtroom, but when people are in the courtroom sitting in front of the judge, they're more willing to talk to each other, figure things out. You know, family court is a very colorful world where solutions are needed. People need to sit there. When somebody's sitting in their office on a TV and somebody's sitting in another office on a TV, that kind of stuff is not being done. We're also given a court attorney as a judge in family court, and I think some of our judges have overused their court attorneys way too much. The bottom line is, you know, they're nice for conferences, but they can't accomplish anything. Nobody's scared of them. Their opinion doesn't matter. When parents sit there in front of the judge and the judge is talking in one direction or another, or kind of laying out what they're thinking about the case, well, that's things the parties can consider, and that actually drives them a lot quicker to settlements. But instead, we're having a quick initial appearance with the judge. 2 or 3 months later, it's getting scheduled for a pretrial conference with a court attorney where de facto nothing happens. 3 months later, now we're scheduling for a half-day trial when these parties have gone 6 months without speaking a word to each other. So I think if we can get rid of the pretrial, or at least use the judge more in the pretrial conference roles, which is the judge's choice, I think that's going to help a lot of things free up in the system and allow things to move to get families quicker solutions. That's the reason I'm running and why I'm here. And I'm done. 5 minutes. I said I was going to be 2.
Don't let him get away without any questions.
You made him wear your footwear.
No, he has 3 minutes for questions. 5 minutes, he's done.
Does anybody have any questions for Rex?
Thank you.
Next, we have Joe Mohalko. Joe, as I said, is already the Broome County Clerk, and he is running for that position again, seeking re-election. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle, and I hope I can get it all in 5 minutes.
Somebody set that timer.
I grew up on the west side of Binghamton, and I've been doing a lot of tours lately, and one of the most popular questions that I've been getting is, are you related to? So I just want to answer that right now. No, I'm not. My dad was originally from Brooklyn, and I'm the only one here in the area. So my career started a little bit differently. I started at IBM. I worked at IBM for just over 25 years, and I have 41 years in the electronic business. My neighbor, Emily Weinworm, who was a member of this group, who recently passed away actually about a year ago, talked me into running for city council, and that's how I got involved in politics. And I thank her every day for it. I love working with people. I love helping people. I did a term and a half in Binghamton City Council before I ran for this position as Broome County Clerk. I'm running again, and I hope I get your support. Just a little bit about the office. It's broken up into 3 divisions. The first is basically the clerk's office. If you've done any sales of property or whatnot, you've done a closing, the deeds get filed, they get filed in our office. Criminal records, civil actions, they get filed in our office. If you need a passport, you can come in, certainly. We'll do your picture. And one of the things that I'm proud of is we've done a lot of passport fairs. A lot of people can't get out during the day because of work requirements. Maybe their kids are in school, they can't get them in for passports. So we've been doing passport fairs at night. We've done them in high schools, we've done them in town halls. We've partnered with the AAA even to do one. One of our biggest ones was actually over in Vestal High School. We did 52 in one night, which was incredible. It's one of the great things that we can do, and we just try to help people out that way. The other division is our records management. We have a warehouse that when I took office, we had 16,000 boxes of files. We store all the records for every department within the county. We're down to about 14,000 boxes. We follow a guideline put out by New York State Archives for the keeping of records, how long you keep them. Believe it or not, some of them are kept forever. Murder files are kept forever. If you've ever worked in personnel, those records are kept for 55 years. If you were ever elected to office or you were appointed to a position, you filled out an oath card. We keep those for 6 years. So we've gotten some grants there. We've looked at trying to help the villages and the towns to see if we can store records for them. A lot of the towns and villages here in the county, they're storing records in attics or basements, and if the rain runs through the basement. So we're trying to help them out with that. We're trying to get that centrally located. We went out and got monies approved for inventory systems, so we can keep track of all the boxes. We now have an inventory system. We can tell you who's taken a file, who's taken a box. We know where that box is. We've also got 3 members of a local company on site that do scanning for us. So we do a lot of scanning of records. Right now, our deeds, when I took office, went back to 1964 online. They go back to 1947 right now. And hopefully with this year's budget approval, we'll be able to go back another 75 years with that as well. So you can look these deeds up yourself from your home or your office. The other division is our Dmv office, and we've done a lot there. It's been a rough year and a half here with it. We were mandatory closed to the public, but we were able to stay open internally. We handled a lot of things through our drop boxes. We installed 6 drop boxes across the county, one including the county office building. The rest are in the senior centers. So you can drop off your transactions there. And one of the things I've really been pushing home ever since I started running the first time for this position was if you do it locally, if you pay locally, the county gets to keep 12.7% of whatever your transaction is. If you do it online, or if you do it by mail, you send it off to Utica, we get nothing out of it. We could actually bring in millions of dollars every year if we kept that money local. One of the things we did was put legislation through that we put a flyer in your tax bill every year. So you can just clip that off. It fits right nicely in that pink envelope in place of that Utica address, and you can mail in any simple renewals that you have. And I guess my time's up.
Sorry.
Any questions?
Thanks, darling. Oh, why is it?
Yes.
The keep money local thing, how, I think I was helping my parents build their job. How are the, like other people to know that we should keep it local?
Again, with the flyer we've been doing, it explains that to keep it local. We've done a lot of PSAs on the radio. I've been on the radio talking about it. We do have it out on our Facebook and our website. And I do have business cards that we've made up. If anybody would like one later on tonight, I will definitely hand it to you. It gives you the instructions on how to make an appointment or make a phone call to get an appointment. And that's one of the big things. We don't have 40 or 50 people sitting in the waiting room anymore. You can make an appointment at the location you want to go to, the day you want to go, and the time you want to go, and typically you're out in 15 minutes. We are allowing people to come in. It's like, oh my gosh, it's the 31st of the month, I forgot my registration's due. We'll allow you to come in, but we're doing the appointments first. People forget, it's my birthday today, my license is up. We'll let you stand in line, but you're going to wait until the people with appointments are taken care of first.
Joe, did you say, oh, I'm sorry. Did you say you do passports?
We do passports. You can come in the office and do them. We take the pictures.
Yep. How about renewals?
We'll help you with renewals. It depends on how long they've expired. If it's over 15 years, yeah, definitely got to start all over again. If it's just a simple renewal, like you're like the 10th year, 11th year, we'll help you with the paperwork. We have it, and we can tell you where to mail it to.
All right, that's perfect.
And definitely we'll do the pictures as well.
Cool. Mine's up in February.
Mine's not really a question. I just want to say that I recently had some experience with the motor vehicle office. The people that work there are amazing. They're friendly, they're kind. And, you know, unlike the years of the past where the DMV has always had a bad rap for just being mean and, you know,
That's good to hear, thank you.
These people really act like they care about you and they really want to help you, and it never used to be like that. You know, I
Thank
mean,
you.
I'm talking, maybe, many years ago, but there's a definite change in the atmosphere there and the energy, and I just want to say that some really nice people work here.
Thank you. We've always, I think that stigma has been like going to the dentist or to the phone store, and we're trying to get away from that and try to make it friendly, make it as easy as possible.
Clearly has changed.
Any other questions?
Yeah. it has been.
Okay. Thank you very much.
That being said, Jared, come on up.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jared Cram. I'm running for mayor of the city of Binghamton this year. Since 2014, I've served as a deputy mayor under Mayor Rich David. I'm a Broome County longtime resident. I was born in Binghamton. Went to Syracuse University where I studied political science and broadcast journalism. And after college, I decided I wanted to come back to Binghamton and be a part of its resurgence. When I came back, it was a lot different Binghamton than it is today. And if everyone can think in their minds and go back in a time machine, we had a different era at City Hall. We had 52% tax increases in 8 years. We had skyrocketing water and sewer rates. The police department was decimated, 20 officers were cut. We had a tent city in downtown Binghamton for a few weeks. And voters in 2013 woke up, smelled the coffee, and elected Rich David as our mayor. And I was appointed as deputy mayor to serve alongside Mayor David. Since that time, we've delivered real change and real results for residents of the city of Binghamton. We've cut taxes for hardworking homeowners and small businesses. We've paved more than 80 miles of streets in the city, more than half of all centerline miles. We've demolished more than 120 boarded-up eyesores, which are affecting property values or dangerous blighted properties in our neighborhoods. We've been on the front lines of dealing with COVID-19, delivering cutting-edge testing for our police, fire departments, other essential workers, and working with the health department on vaccine clinics, making sure that small businesses and nonprofits have funding that they can survive this pandemic. We've invested in our parks, we've invested in our neighborhoods, and Binghamton is different than it was 8 years ago. But we're at a very critical point in our city's history. After COVID-19, we'll have the greatest economic recovery since the Great Depression. We still have high unemployment rates. We still have businesses that are struggling. And Binghamton's next mayor will be tasked with guiding that recovery. I'm a person that has a measurable track record. I'm a person that's been in the mayor's office, at the decision-making table, and playing a leading role in a lot of the projects that happen around town. I want to recognize a few people that are here tonight that I was lucky enough to partner with over the last 8 years. Former Council President Joe Mohalko, who we worked together on a lot of the initiatives that I just spoke about. Our current Council President, Sophia Rezinetti, who's a strong advocate for the West Side, her district, and the city in general. Senator Fred Akshar, who's been able to deliver real funding from Albany, which is a lot harder to do nowadays than everyone thinks it is, to fund these projects, to get things done for our police department, for downtown Binghamton. We're very thankful to have these folks to work with us at City Hall. I want to continue the momentum we've seen these last 8 years, and I want to bring Binghamton into the 21st century the way it should be. I think that we can again become the Valley of Opportunity in Binghamton, and all it takes is staying the course, making sure we have strong leadership in the mayor's office, and I would be honored to have your support in this race this year. With that, I'd be happy to take any questions. Sophia.
So, I am, as you know, one of your biggest supporters. And I'm going to put that right out there. And I thank you for everything that you've done, and I think that we will be so lucky to have you as our next mayor.
Thank you.
You speak passionately about many different issues, and your record shows that it's not just talk. You and I have worked a little bit now together, and we know that I'm very, a big supporter of our police department and safety of the community. Right? For me, all those issues that you mentioned are so important, obviously, right? It's about quality of life stuff, right? But I feel so strongly about that particular piece and about, you know, as I view our city sort of being potentially a crossroad here, right? Which way are we gonna go? And I'm just wondering, can you talk to us a little bit about your thoughts about that? And, you know, the previous administration had really just slaughtered our police department. And I'm so glad that you have been part of an administration that has tried to remedy that and go above and beyond. And so if you could just tell me a little bit, because I really do feel so strongly about this piece, like your thoughts about what's that gonna look like under
Sure.
the administration?
Sure. So I've knocked on a few thousand doors across the city, have a few thousand more to go, but public safety is the number one thing I hear at the doors. People want police officers to have the resources they deserve. They want support of law enforcement. I've been lucky enough to be endorsed by the Binghamton Police Union, the Binghamton Police Benevolent Association. They recognize my track record on public safety. I want to make sure that Binghamton's next mayor rejects the calls to defund the police that we see so much, not just at the national level, but at a local level as well. We have built back the police department, but there's more work to do. Our officers do a harder job than ever before. They're asked to do more with less than ever before, and simply are responding to more calls. In Binghamton, more than 50,000 calls per year our police officers go on. We need more officers on the street. We need proactive foot and bike patrols in our neighborhoods. We need the type of programs where officers are working with neighbors side by side to solve criminal justice issues and crime issues in neighborhoods. Supportive neighborhood watch programs, youth programs that build positive relationships between families and the police department. I think I said this before at a previous meeting. You know, I believe that police officers are a force for good in our community. They put their lives literally on the line for us, whether in the patrol division for more officers, specialized units. It's the most important job I would have as mayor is the safety of Binghamton residents.
As a mother of 3 of those Binghamton police officers, I would rather have Jared Cram as
Thank you very much. I'll turn it over to Michelle. No other questions? Thank you.
Michelle, Mack?
On behalf of our members, I would like to thank the candidates for joining us tonight. You all did a fantastic job, and you will serve us well if elected.